All right, what is up, guys? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. Good to see all you guys here. Excited to be here tonight. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are all having fun, staying safe. So cool to be here, everyone. If you're watching the video live, thanks for tuning in, and make sure you guys drop in the chat and say hi to everybody. So cool to have you guys here. And with that, yeah, like I was saying, so tonight we are going to talk about a few different things. I may have a special guest on. Hopefully, he said he's going to come in a little bit later. It won't be a player, but it will be a pretty cool surprise for you guys if he winds up coming in. Hopefully, we'll be live long enough to get him in here. But yeah, it should be a fun time. Basically, guys, like I said, excited to have you here. We're going to be talking about the Utes in the pros. I got a few guys that I want to talk about. Kind of some of the guys that are in the pros now for the Utes that are, doing really well, that are, really good players in the NFL. But more than anything, I think the top guy to talk about is obviously going to be, what's his name? Marcus Williams. So Marcus Williams just got that, huge contract from the Ravens. Pretty big deal there. So I'm sure a lot of us want to talk about that. Honestly, it's a pretty cool day when a Utes player gets recognized like that. Honestly, like the contract that Marcus Williams got is, basically saying that he's one of the, if not the top safety in the NFL right now, right? At least that's young and up and coming and getting his first big contract. So super exciting, guys. If you want, while we wait here, I'm going to just kind of be shooting the link out to the different, Facebook groups and Twitter and all that. It'd be really fun to talk about while we're waiting is who do you guys think outside of Marcus Williams, or even if it is Marcus Williams, who do you guys think currently is the best Utes player in the NFL right now? All right. All right, I'm gonna put the question on the screen here. You guys tell me who you think, and if and I'll share you guys' comments on the screen here if I like them. So cool, awesome. All right. I'm sure a lot of you guys that like this channel a lot are probably more into college football than anything else. But I'm into pro football a lot too. So I like to see, obviously, I'm a big pro football fan, but I also really like to just see the Utes in the pros doing a really good job, right? It's a cool thing to see. With that, and like I said, who is your guys' favorite Ute player that's in the pros now? If there's a guy that I think does a really good job. So there's a few players that the Utes have in the pros that I think do a really good job. One of them is Zach Moss. Kind of, he's had his ups and downs, definitely, but a really good player. I think that that team, just in general, the Bills, which Zach Moss has been playing for, has had some real troubles running the ball, and I think that's hard to blame on the on Zach Moss, right? That's more of a consequence of just having a bad offensive line, which we all saw at the beginning of last year, even for the Utes, right? We had a pretty struggling offensive line for the first part of the year. So, once we got rolling, we were throwing people around. But, it's so important to have a great offensive line. Let's see here. Let's see. Brad with Bang It said, "Where is Devin Lloyd?" I am not sure what you're talking about, Brad. Maybe elaborate, and I'd love to comment on it. But with that, guys, obviously a lot of great Utes in the pros. Sorry while we finish just posting out this link, right? Make sure you guys share who your favorite Utes pro player is. I know a guy that I'm also pretty high on after last year was Tyler Huntley. If you guys got to see some of that last year, which honestly, if I'm being frank, I wasn't a huge fan of Huntley when he was playing college ball. But as he got into the pros, I definitely like specifically last year, he really showed what he can do. I think it's a great fit for him to be with the Baltimore Ravens and that kind of running quarterback style of offense, right? Just a really good fit overall. All right. Weird. Let me post the link there. All right. This will be the last one, and then I'll post it on Twitter real quick. And then we will go ahead and get the party started here. Any specific Utes players you guys want to see me talk about tonight on the stream? All right. Yeah, I just blocked that Brad guy for 5 minutes. I don't know what he was talking about there. That was kind of some weird stuff you were saying there, Brad. So put you in a little time out for 5 minutes, see if you cool off a little bit, and then we'll let you back into the chat. All right. All right, cool, guys. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up a list of all the Utes that are in the pros right now. Like I said, seriously, guys, as we get going here, make sure you guys comment who your favorite pro Utes are. These are always a little more fun when you guys get involved and kind of interact. It makes it a lot more fun for me, at least. All right, so let's take a look here. So pro Utes in the NFL. Let's take a look here. Okay, so there's this website. It's called Our Lads. Our Lads basically it just has a list of every Ute that is in the NFL. I'm gonna let first come first serve sort of situation with the pro Utes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share the screen. Obviously, if you guys want, we can start with the big ones, or we could start with maybe some hometown favorites. So let's take a look here. Feel free to chime in, guys, if you have someone specific you guys want to talk about tonight. That's more than welcome if that's what you guys want to do. All right. How's my connection coming through? Someone let me know if I'm having a rough connection here. It's looking a little laggy on my end, but I'm not sure why that is. I'm hardwired in, so let me know. All right. So anyways, taking a look here. So I think a fun guy to look at is going to be Tyler Huntley. So let's take a look at Huntley. Some of the Utes pros are going to be guys. Actually, you know what? Before we talk about Tyler Huntley, what I want to do is talk about Marcus Williams. I think he deserves to be talked about. He has been a fantastic player. I honestly, I don't know how much you guys keep up with the Utes once they get into the pros, right? But Marcus Williams has definitely been a beast. Obviously, safety isn't the most valuable position, right? But overall, it doesn't change the fact that Marcus Williams has been fantastic for us, right? So let's take a look here. So Marcus Williams, I'm going to put him up on the screen. And I want to look at his PFF grade. So if you guys follow me during the season, I think you guys know that I am, pretty big on the PFF grades. I know they're not everybody's favorite, but for me, they're a really good line to tell you roughly how good the player is on a every play scale. A big play in every now and then doesn't make a great player. That makes a explosive player and a clutch player, but not always a great football player, right? And make sure you guys let me know how the connection's coming through. Manuel, all right. I'm a rather new Utes fan, so I'm excited to see what pro Utes are in the NFL. Yeah, absolutely, man. The list is on the screen now. I'm going to take it off here in a minute. The list is much bigger than what's on the screen, but a lot of great Utes players in the NFL. They're honestly, for a hit rate, obviously not a huge list of players, but the hit rate's pretty damn decent. So, all right, and Huntley, big name. I know that's about it. Maybe Eric Weddle and Matt Gay. Yeah, so yeah, there's other guys too. There's a lot of cool guys to check out tonight. So we should have some fun doing this. I'm gonna put the Marcus Williams PFF page on the screen. For those of you guys that don't know, Marcus Williams was, probably right up there with the premier defensive free agents. He was right up there, number 2 or number 3. Probably the only person I'd put like significantly in front of him would be maybe like a JC Jackson who signed with the Chargers. All right, so check him out here, guys. Marcus Williams, solo tackles 57, 2 picks, was targeted 16 times and only allowed 8 receptions. So, big time player, a guy that a lot of people are big on, a really well-rounded guy. Sorry, I know a lot of the numbers are locked. I have, am I logged in? Yeah, I'm logged in, which is weird that they're not showing. You should see, if you want to upgrade to like their premium thing, it's so damn expensive. So I don't have that. But obviously a really good player here, Marcus Williams. This is his last year numbers, but he's been a really good player for a while. So check that out, at 80 grade. And just so you guys know, we look at 2021 and it shows an 80 grade. 80 is like super, super good. And then a 79 is basically the same grade. That's when you're talking about an elite player, is when you get high 70s, low 80s. I mean, obviously high 70, or let's say high 80s would be elite. 80s is when you're talking really, really good, like a special player, maybe not a game changer. And then look here, that's an elite grade, that 2019 grade. I mean, you're talking about a superstar player here in Marcus Williams, a really big time guy that, just about anybody would love to have on their team. He got paid 5 years. We could put his contract up on the screen, and that'd be fun, huh? 5 years for $70 million. Not a bad paycheck to get, huh, guys? 5 years for $70 million for Marcus Williams. So a big time player. And just so you guys know, for for safeties, that's a huge contract. That's a safety. If you're making $10 million a year, you're one of the premier safeties. And I think this contract averages out to $14 million a year. So we're talking about a guy that's just, very high end safety. I could look it up. Highest paid safeties in the NFL. Yeah, so check it out here. So the only guys making more than him are Kevin Byard on the Titans, Eddie Jackson on the Bears, Budda Baker on the Cardinals, Justin Simmons on the Broncos, Harrison Smith on the Vikings, and Jamal Adams on the Seahawks. And I'm sorry you guys are a Seahawks fan, but I'm a Jets fan in the NFL, so I can tell you guys, not a fan of Jamal Adams. He's bad attitude. It's kind of a locker room cancer. So not a fan of that guy. All right, but let's go ahead and take a look at more of the Utes in the pros. So looking at Utes in the pros here, let's put it back up on the screen. So where are we at? Okay, here we go. All right, so let's take a look at this on the screen here, guys. So a good stack of really good pro Utes, just so you guys know. So Kylie Fitz, outside linebacker, third in the depth. He's a defensive end, but he's third in the depth charted outside linebacker. Lecky Fotu, second in depth at D tackle. If you guys remember Lecky Fotu, he's just a huge monster defensive tackle that we had. I believe he got drafted in the later rounds, something like that, in the mid round, something like that. But yeah, huge monster, run stopper, gap filler type of guy, a guy that you definitely didn't want to have to, move out of the way if you were an offensive line. Then we also got guys like Tyler Huntley here. Let's go ahead and put Tyler Huntley up on the screen. So it's okay. All right. I just got a text from the guy that might be coming on later. I think you guys will enjoy having him on if he comes on. Hopefully we can get him on here. So that'd be cool. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and pull. Oh, lucky foe to destroy the USC QB drive. Rob, I don't. Your name sounds familiar. Maybe you've commented on the videos. Maybe this is your first live chat, but good to have you here, man. Thanks for jumping in. Yeah, Lucky Foe to destroy the USC QB first drive 2019, right? Yeah, huge hit. Lucky Foe 2 is a monster. If you guys don't know, he's a developmental player. I was reading up a little more on him before this, and he only played 1 year of high school football, so that means the technique's going to be real raw. A big rugby background, so that helps a little, but D-line has a lot of technique involved. So he's still developing even now, right, in the NFL. He was a raw prospect coming in, but hopefully as time goes on, he can really carve out a role for himself. I mean, being the second D tackle in the rotation is no joke. I mean, I'm sure he's getting reps, right? But let's talk about Tyler Huntley, guys. He's an exciting one to be talking about. He had some really cool highlights last year. I actually have not looked at how he graded out for PFF, so this will actually be kind of fun. He had great highlights, but I did not check the grades. But I mean, that's kind of who Tyler Huntley was, right? He had some pretty big highlight plays, but wasn't always the most consistent quarterback. I remember watching in 2019. That was before I had this channel, but there'd be times where Huntley, I'd see him miss a throw or just like not able to consistently move the ball with his arm, and it would just frustrate me to no end. I'm sure if you guys are anything like me, like obviously you like big plays from your quarterback, but the most important thing with a quarterback is consistency, right? That's one thing about what's his name, Cam Rising, is that obviously he makes big plays, but more than anything, he's just super consistent. But he's consistently clutch, if that makes sense. I think you guys know what I'm talking about when you watch Cam Rising. But anyways, so Tyler Huntley, take a look here. Just so you guys know, 68.3 grade here. That's a really good grade. That is like it's not quite elite, but that's like a decent starter. Like that's like a solid starter. So that's something you got to be excited to see. A lot of the time when people talk about the draft, they talk about how it's really all about how you fit with whoever drafts you, right? And I think for Huntley, he really just clicked with the Ravens. It was just a great fit. He's very similar to Lamar Jackson, right? And it's funny, I feel like as he got into the NFL, he became more similar to Lamar Jackson and being a quarterback that really shines in his running ability, right? Tom Moya just commented in the chat. Jalen Johnson. Yeah, trust me, we are going to talk about Jalen Johnson, one of the best youth players in the NFL. Yeah, honestly, as I was going through the list, I forgot about some of these guys. I was surprised. I was, just refreshes your mind. So it's kind of a fun exercise to do. All right. And so the next thing we're going to look at is let's pull up who would be next. Okay. I think it'd be fun to look at Star Looks Lately. How's he doing? Boom. Give it a second here, guys. Let me just get him pulled up. Whew. Okay, so Star Looks Lately. All right, so this is the first grade we're going to be looking at. That's not exactly fantastic. So, all right, Star Looks Lately. Rob Cashel says Jalen Johnson, best cornerback in the NFL. I don't know if I'd go that far, Rob, but a very good cornerback. Definitely, for me, definitely a top 10 type of guy. Like one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. I just think we're talking elite. There's a couple guys up there that are pretty impressive. Jalen Ramsey has some questionable moments, but still super good. J.C. Jackson that just signed with the Chargers. I think when it's Jalen Johnson's turn to get paid big, he's going to get paid big. But I don't know if he's the best corner in the NFL. Okay, guys, so check it out. This is Star Lotulelei. Boom. If you guys want to know more about him, he's been in the NFL for a long time. He was a Utes player, drafted in 2013. I want to say he used to have better grades than this. He's been in the NFL so damn long. Like, yeah, check this out, right? 2019, not a terrible grade, not a great grade, but it slightly below average. Same here. So nothing impressive. Another. Okay. So okay, yeah, he's hovered right around that 60 grade his whole career, right? And then it seems like last year it took a drop. Okay, well look, at the beginning he was actually pretty damn good. A 69, it's a solid. Oh, and a 74. I mean, that's a really good grade. So maybe he just maybe he got paid and just wasn't feeling it anymore. Who knows? So yeah, that was Star Lotulelei. Marcus Blair, he's pretty good, but keeps getting injured. Yeah, honestly, I haven't followed Marcus Blair too much, but yeah, I know he was a guy that a lot of people were excited about. Yeah, that 2019 class was just a bunch of studs, man. That defense was so damn good. All right, so let's take a look at this list again here. Okay, so this is another guy to look at, Zach Moss. Zach Moss is definitely one of my favorites for the Utes in the NFL. I was a huge fan of Zach Moss in college. I thought he was just a monster, kind of like a Tyler Algier for the team down south, right? Just a really big physical guy that it doesn't matter if you hit him behind the line. He's going to get at least 2 or 3 yards, right? He's just that kind of player. I'm sure you guys don't love me comparing him to the team down south, but they remind me of each other a lot. So, all right, so let's take a look at Zach Moss here. So Zach Moss has been in the NFL for a couple of years now. Really good player. Nothing flashy, a 67.3 grade. I would describe that as like an above average grade, like a solid player, right? 96 carries, 345 yards, so a little under 4 yards a carry. You don't love to see that. 3.6, but we got a 4 rushing touchdowns. And I'm telling you guys, the Bills are a great team. The Bills is who Zach Moss plays for, but they're not a good running team. They have real issues running the ball. And so this was I think this was his rookie year. So a much better year his rookie year. But like I said, is not that much better. It's about 5 overall points on the grade better, but a really solid player in Zach Moss, in my opinion. Check him out here. 112 carries, 481 yards rookie year, 4 rushing touchdowns, average 4.3 yards a carry. Yeah, he didn't play in the NFL. He got drafted in 2019 or in 2020. Yeah, so Zach Moss, definitely a solid player for him. Definitely a good guy and someone that, super productive player on the Utes. It's always tough when these guys go pro. You always wish the best for these guys, but you really never know how it's going to turn out. But honestly, so far, we've been going through almost everybody on the list, and a lot of guys actually doing pretty damn well in the NFL, right? We might as well, why don't we just go down everybody on the, go through everybody on the list here. I mean, let's take a look. Boom. I just pulled up Kyle Pitts. I won't throw him on the screen. He's been in the NFL since 2018. Actually, a pretty good player. I really wasn't familiar with him. It's weird. He has 2021 is a very below average grade. Then 2020 was a 43.2, which is like terrible. And then 2019 is a 71.3, which is pretty damn good. And then he has the grade in 2018 of 46. So one pretty damn good year, and the rest of it, pretty rough. So not looking too good there for old Kyle Pitts. Okay, well, next on the list would be Jalen Johnson. So let's take a look at him. He's a guy I know a lot of people are excited about in the chat here. So Jalen Johnson, his PFF. Let's take a look at the guy. Boom. I'm going to share it on the screen here. All right, Jalen Johnson. Okay, so Jalen Johnson. Yeah, you see what I was talking about there, Rob? 64.2 grade last year. And to be clear, PFF is not, the whole story. It never is, right? But it's definitely something worth looking at. PFF can be a very, a very good way to see what a player does every single play. So 64.2, you don't love to see that, but I do think, and then a 54.9 grade in 2020. So you guys know I'm a pretty big PFF guy. I've never looked at Jalen Johnson's PFF grades, but I know people were really excited about him after the year before last. So that's not great to see, but definitely not the number one corner in the NFL. But I think he's better than those grades say, right? So let's take a look next at Francis Bernard. All right, Francis Bernard. Okay, so get him pulled up here. So he is a linebacker for the Cowboys. Let's check his draft year. I feel like I know him. I don't know why it's just escaping me. He was drafted 2020. Yeah, I know who he is. Sorry. All right, so 2020 draft year. So last year in 2021, a pretty rough draft grade of 48.5. I mean, that's pretty damn low. Just one tackle, but you also got to look at the fact that he only got one tackle. So I'm guessing the reps there were very low volume reps, right? In 2020, 67.1, but again, very low volume reps, right? It's hard to know how good he actually is. But it's cool to see so many of these guys that are still on teams, right? So that's pretty cool. All right, and then the next guy let's look at should be a fan favorite is Garrett Bowles. You guys all remember Garrett Bowles? I think he was 2016. I actually worked with a lady, and this was like her something in-law's husband. So it's pretty cool. Let's check him out here. All right. All right, so Garrett Bowles, check him out, guys. This is probably one of the better Utes in the NFL. I think he's just not talked about a lot because he's an offensive lineman. But I think if you guys are anything like me, I appreciate really good offensive linemen. They're game changers. They just don't get the credit for it. So in 2021, 870 snaps played, 8 penalties, 5 sacks allowed. Overall grade is 76.6. And honestly, you want to see the hurry, the pressures and everything like that to really get a full idea. That's a great grade of 76.6. You got to be happy about that. Oh, damn. Check that out, dude. In 2020, a 90.6 grade. Just so you guys understand what a 90.6 really means. A 90.6 is basically like elite. That's like what you'd expect of Von Miller or a Lamar Jackson or a Aaron Rodgers, that type of grade, right? That's awesome, dude. That is awesome to see Garrett Bowles doing so well. Honestly, remember what I was saying earlier? Like, it looks like the Utes have a real high hit rate. And again, a 76.1 there, guys. That's another really good grade. It's not a 90, but it's still really good. 72.8. Which is a solid grade as well. 2017. Yeah, so he has never had a grade lower than a 72.9 so far, from everyone we've looked at, right up there. I mean, I put him and Marcus Williams as the two best guys because Marcus Williams, as much as he had a little higher consistent grade, he never had a 90 grade in one season, right? That's a really impressive grade. I actually think those two are from the same draft class, if I'm not mistaken. That was quite a Utes team there. I am going to shoot our friend that might be joining us here in a little bit, a little message here with the link to join us when he's ready. And while I'm doing that, guys, if you guys are enjoying the video and liking the content, we'll be talking about some spring football with the guy coming on here in a little bit, hopefully. So make sure you guys like the video. Seriously, it gets it out to more Utes fans. And then also, if you guys really like the video and enjoy the content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of you guys watching have been subscribed for a while, and I love having you guys here. So it's awesome to get to connect with you guys. And, I'm sure if you're anything like me, this time of the year, you're just starved for Utes football content, right? There's not that much. Would love to talk about linebacker. Which linebacker, Rob? Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about for the spring football linebacker, or are you talking about you want to talk about Utes linebackers in the NFL? All right, so the next guy we're going to look at is Tim Patrick. I haven't looked at his grades before, but I know. Questions for who's starting next year. You know what? Yeah, it's definitely a big position battle, and I'm sure the guy that could be coming on here in a little bit is going to want to talk about that. So that'll be fun. Those will be funs for him to talk about. Rob, new signees. Yeah, I get you 100%, man. I get you. All right, and then with that, let's take a look at Tim Patrick. So Tim Patrick, PFF. All right, bam. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so check him out here, guys. So last year, Tim Patrick is 71.2 grade, 83 targets, 53 receptions, 734 yards. What you got to love here, guys, yeah, it wasn't a ton of receptions, a solid amount of yards, but nothing crazy, like good yards, but nothing wild. But look at that average yards per catch. If someone wants to do the math and drop it there in the chat, 734 receiving yards divided by 53 receptions. That's it's pretty damn high up there. What is that? 14 yards a catch, something in that range. I mean, that's pretty high. That means every time he caught the ball, he was getting about 14 yards a catch with it. And obviously the target rate wasn't or his catch rate on the targets. You take a look at that, 53 catches on 83 targets. Not great, not bad. Slightly below average. You'd want it to be more like a 70, 75%. It's a little below that, but still not bad. But it sounds like they have him going deep a lot, right? They're with that many yards on that many catches. You got to think they must have the guy, going deep pretty often. So, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of his grades here. So in 2021, he was 71.2. He was another guy from that 2017 draft class. A sick class, huh? And then in 2020 is 74.5. I remember last year he really broke out in 2020. I guess that was 2 years ago now. And then 2019, solid grade, right? I put this right at average of 66.7. Not a ton of yards. Oh, how was his 2021 or 2020 yards? Yeah, so a lot of yards, a lot of catches, or, pretty similar to last year, actually. I mean, maybe that's what they expect from him out of the offense. They just kind of like what he's doing. Not a great 2018. And then obviously wasn't in the NFL. Or maybe he was. He just didn't play. So, all right. But, yeah, so Tim Patrick there, very solid player. Looked pretty solid. I think we're going to get that guy on that I was talking to you guys about. Like I said, he's not going to be a player, but he should be a guy that'll be fun to talk to, a guy with some inside knowledge that I get a lot of information from. So I'm excited to have him on here and let him talk to you guys. So, all right, let's move to the next topic. Same topic. Next guy, John Penasini. Let's take a look. All right, John Penasini. All right, so I'm taking a look at John. I'm going to make this one a little quicker. I'm not going to go too into John. He was drafted in 2020, so he's been in the NFL 2 years. Grades are last year a 54.3. The year before that, a 41.4. He's on the Lions. Lions have been kind of a mess, though, so it's hard to hold that against him too much, right? But overall, a lot to be desired from John. Nothing against the guy. But a lot to be desired with John. You could expect a lot more from this guy. And then let's take it to the next player, Julian Blackmon. This is probably going to be someone worth throwing up on the screen here. Give me a minute to pull him up, and then I'll throw him up here. So Julian Blackmon was a big time safety for the Utes, and I want to say he was drafted, pretty high. Yeah. So we take a look here. So Julian Blackmon was a third round pick, the 85th selection in the 2020 draft. Big time player we got here. And Julian Blackmon, when you say third round for a safety, also you guys got to factor in that safety is not the most valuable position. Um, All right, so safety is not the most valuable position in the world, right? It's kind of like a running back. A running back getting picked in the second round is more like most positions getting picked in the first. So for Julian Blackmon to get picked in the third round as a safety is more similar to him being picked in the first round for a lot of positions. And then, so we take a look. I'm looking at Julian Blackmon's grades here, right? Nothing crazy. I know he had a lot of high hopes. So a 60 grade, a 60.7 this year, a 60.8 last year. So honestly, it's a little below average. It's basically probably where you'd put a guy that's replaceable right now. No offense to Julian Blackmon. That's not what you want to see. I know they have a really good defense over there. Hopefully, he'll start to come into his own a little more as time goes on, right? But overall, a guy that I've been expecting big things out of. So hopefully, he starts to click a little more as time goes on. Sam Tavai. All right. So Sam Tavai, a offensive tackle, drafted in 2017. So same year as Garrett Bowles. Honestly, grades are a little rough. Low 50s, one high 50s, a lot of low 50s, mid 50s here. So I'm not going to put him up on the screen here. He's gotten some playing time, but not a guy that's doing super well. A guy that's probably pretty replaceable in the NFL. It was funny, like our first streak of guys were just sick, and then it kind of dropped off a little. But the next guy I want to take a look at is Terrell Burgess. So this is a guy that should be pretty fun. And if you don't know, Terrell Burgess just won a Super Bowl. So pretty exciting there. Yeah, he plays for the Rams as a safety there and just won a Super Bowl. So pretty exciting. Let's take a look at him. Terrell Burgess. All right, so check him out here. So in 2021, a 54.8 grade, 2020, a 47.7. Damn. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I thought he was doing a little better than this. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Those are pretty rough. 54.4 is like, concerning, not terrible, but a 47.7, which was his 2020 grade, is pretty terrible, but at least it's going up over time. That's what you like to see, right? We saw a couple guys we went through here that started off not so well and kind of blossomed into their own as a player. All right, and then the next guy is Matt Gay. Matt Gay, PFF. All right, let's take a look at Matt Gay. So Matt Gay has been in the NFL for only a couple of years, actually. I don't know why I thought that. So Matt Gay has been in the NFL since 2019. I don't know why it doesn't show his grades, but anyways, if you guys don't know, Matt Gay is actually very good. He's one of the better kickers in the NFL. I'd probably throw him in that top 5, top 8 category. Really clutch guy, and I know it's not showing his grades on the PFF site, but a really good player that I think a lot of people would like to have on their team, right? A very solid player in Matt Gay. And then with that, the next guy is going to be, so this is actually my pro team. So this is kind of fun. I'll show both guys for this one. Bradley Anae, PFF. So Bradley Anae is on the Jets. I don't think he's playing too much right now. Just as a Bradley Anae has not had the greatest career. I was aware of his grade because Utes, Jets connection. I looked them up right away. Like I said, his snap count seems low. It's only 2 tackles, but a 45.2 grade. Obviously, that's not what you want, right? That's just not great. So, but look at that. I didn't know about that. So 2021, not pretty terrible, 45.2. Both really low sample sizes, but at 85.2, which is like a super good grade in 2020. So that's good to see for Bradley and I. That means could have a pretty promising future, right? There's a reason the Jets picked him up. I remember when they picked him up, they had like a high waiver spot. And in the NFL, how it works, every week you get like a position in the waivers. And the higher the waiver spot, you get like the first shot at available waiver signees. And he was the guy we picked up. So that was pretty cool. The other guy is actually someone, it's been a little up and down for Javelin Guidry. If you guys were following him, you might remember Javelin Guidry. His big claim to fame was that sick 40 time. I think he ran like a 4.29 or something like that at the combine. So super fast guy, a guy that has the athletic upside to be amazing. 55.9 grade there, so definitely a little below average. You'd like better. But then check him out here in 2020 is 73.1 grade. So really good grade there. So a guy that we could see, blossom into something. A lot of these guys are still really early in the NFL, so their story's not told yet, right? I think also the Jets had a new coaching staff, whole new defensive scheme. So I think it was tough for Javelin to adapt, right? With that kind of speed, I think you work really well in a man-on-man situation, and the Jets were running a lot of zone. So I think that might have hindered his progress a little, but hopefully we see him take the next step here next year. I know he's not likely going to be the starter next year because they have a nickel corner they like, but he's definitely in competition. He definitely could make a name for himself and make something happen there. All right, and then the next guy we can take a look at is Cody Barton. That's kind of a fun one, huh? Cody Barton, whose brother Lander Barton is actually going to be competing for one of the linebacker spots on the Utes this year. So that's pretty exciting. So take a look here, guys. So Cody Barton, I know he's a fan favorite, right? Check him out there. Look at that big smile. Boom, moving around. Where's he going to go? All right, so 59.7 grade in 2021, 16 tackles, 7 assists. So honestly, like 16 tackles, you're getting some pretty decent play time, right? It's not like he's just getting a rep every now and then. I mean, 16 tackles, you got to get at least 50 to 100 reps if you're getting, hopefully. So that looked, it's not a great grade, a little below average, right? At 59.7, you'd want better, but not terrible. Oof. 54.3 is the grade in 2020, and in 2019, 48.7. So the grades aren't great for Cody Barton, but I do want to point out one thing, right? 2019, 48.7. 2020, 54.3. 2021, 59.7. We seen a pattern here? I am, right? He's getting better every year. That's what you want to see. The NFL is not – it's not about coming out there and just killing it right away. It's about you're playing with the best players in the world at football. It's like just develop your craft, and that's what you like to see. So I'd imagine Cody Barton probably won't have a crazy year next year, but if history tells us anything, he'll have somewhere in the range of a 63 to a 65 grade, especially with Bobby Wagner no longer on the Seahawks. Someone's going to need to step up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him. And that 63 to 65 is like a solid average grade, nothing special, definitely not bad. So that's where you'd like to see him get to next year if you're a Cody Barton fan, you want to see him succeed and do well, right? All right, so Marquise Blair, I think I saw some people chatting about him earlier. All right, so Marquise Blair is a corner on the Seahawks. Take a look at him here. So last year, didn't get a ton of playing time, right? Only 6 tackles. Well, actually, maybe he did get some decent playing time, right? Just probably wasn't in the box a lot or something. Maybe they just put him on the faster guys. I know he had some decent speed. So 10 targets, 7 receptions allowed. That kind of explains why the grade's low. That means if a quarterback, basically you take that, right, you divide the 7 by 10. It means if quarterbacks throw a Marquise Blair, there's a 70% chance the receiver catches it. You don't need to be a mathematician to realize that is not great, right? But it's hopefully that gets a little better. Let's check out his grades in the previous year. So He's been in since 29, so 48.5, pretty rough. And then we got let's see here. Okay, 78.5 in 2019. What a weird story with him, huh? A killer first year at 78.5. Just so you guys know, that's like a super high grade. That's very high level, really good starter type of grade. And then hold on one second here, guys. Sorry, one second, guys. Jeff Walsh just wrote in. Well, I think Eric Rowe of Miami is killing it. All right. All right. So I think Eric Rowe of Miami is killing it. Tim Patrick is vastly underrated based on PFF's metrics. Ball's also in Denver, is flirting with Pro Bowl repeats. Gay Pro Bowl this year. XU, Jeff. I don't know if you meant to continue on there. Jeff, you're an XU. Oh, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Well, good to have you in. Yeah, I agreed. I felt like Tim Patrick was, I don't know, though. I don't know if I'd say vastly underrated, Jeff. I mean, mid 70s is a very good grade, just so we're all on the same page. It's not like on Madden. A mid 70 on Madden is like, okay. But a mid 70s in PFF is like, it's a very good starter. It's like someone you're not looking to replace. You want to lock them in for a long time. So, but yeah, Eric Rowe of Miami is actually coming up here pretty soon, I believe. Oh, I actually skipped him. So I actually skipped a couple guys. I don't know how that happened. I think I just got excited to talk about the Utes that are on the Jets. So let's take a look here. So Jackson Barton. All right, let's take a look at him. All right, so Jackson Barton, the Barton brothers, as they call it. All right, look at that smile. You guys all have that smile, huh? All right, so 2021, pretty rough grade there, 52.9. Not on a ton of snaps, just 6 snaps, so nothing crazy. It's hard to get a real good sample size there. He was drafted in 2019, didn't really get any reps in 2019 or 2020. What you gotta like though is that he is seeing some playing time, right? Finally, for the first time in his career. It's nothing crazy, but Jeff says also Jalen Johnson is elite at his position based on PFF grades. We were just looking at Jalen Johnson, and his grades were actually really bad, Jeff. I don't know if you were looking at something else or. I was shocked that Jalen Johnson's grades were bad. So, yeah, weird. But on that note, let's take a look. I think I skipped Eric Rowe as well. So I would be kind of surprised if Eric Rowe didn't have some pretty good grades here. So let's see. Eric Rowe, safety. All right, yeah, check it out. 2021, a 71.2 grade. Very high grade, right? Like that's a solid grade. A guy you definitely like to have on your team, a really good player. That's a great Miami Dolphins defense, and he's one of the cornerstones of that. Check him out in 2020. Ooh, pretty rough there. I mean, not rough, terrible, but like you want more. Especially, you got to like to see that he's getting a 71 this year. Definitely a guy that's been in the NFL for a while, right? 58.9 to 58.9, 2 years in a row. It's kind of unique. And then 62.9. All right. So some low 50s here too. And then at the beginning of his career, some one flash year, but then last year was actually the best year of his career, according to PFF. So definitely a guy that hopefully, keeps it going, keeps showing up for the Utes and, putting the name out there. I know I've seen him around, so that's pretty cool, man. Good to have him. Good to have him repping the Utes. All right, and then we got a couple more guys. So Mitch Wishnowski. All right, so Mitch, I don't think they have his grades. I know they didn't have him for the kickers, so I'm guessing they don't have him for the punters. The numbers don't look amazing, but like average, right? Like slightly below average, average punt. Lots of punts. His longest punts up there with some, number 13. And he had about average for number of punts pinned inside the 20. So definitely a solid player from Mitch Wisnowski. I know we don't get too excited about punters. Hopefully we got the punter position locked in next year, though. It's definitely something to be a little concerned about. Hopefully we got that figured out before we head into the season next year. So Jared Norris, if you guys remember him, 2016 linebacker. He's playing for the Washington Commanders right now. So didn't play at all in 2021. In 2020, he got some playing time. 42.4 grade. Again, there's no tackles or anything, so you got to think that's going to be on really low volume. 2019, absolutely no volume. 2018, no volume. 2017, no volume. 2016, no volume. So guy that really has only gotten to play a few snaps in his whole career. So it's hard to really judge him, but kind of cool, right? You gotta be impressed by a guy that's had such a long NFL career without really getting to play. I mean, that's a good sign, right? He must be a hard worker, show up on time, good practice guy. I think that's what a lot of the Utes players are. I think that's why people like drafting the Utes, right? And now we have one more guy to check out. That's a pro Ute, Nate Orchard. Again, a guy on the Washington Commanders. He was drafted in 2015, 60 grade last year. So check him out here. And then in 2020, 67.2. Again, both these guys in the Commanders, not a lot of volume. Okay, here we go. So in 2019, a little more volume, right? 10 tackles, 67 grade, so pretty solid grades here. Nate Orchard, I've definitely heard the name before. And then a 54.3, so, more to be desired there. 2017, one of his, a decent amount of playing time, 66.3, so solid grade there. And then 2016, second year in the NFL, terrible grade at a 40. I think that's the lowest grade we've seen. And then a 64.8. A guy's been up and down the whole career there, huh? It's kind of all over the place. That was pretty fun. I think we are about to get that guy I was telling you guys about on the line here. So super cool. I'm hoping he'll come on here in a second, and we'll spend some time talking about some spring football with him, and then you guys can enjoy your weekend. So I think this will be a special treat for you guys and get a little, someone that really has an in-depth look at the program, that sort of thing. All right. But anyways, so those are the pro Utes, guys. I think some of them were, surprising, right? Some of those guys I thought were better players than they looked, right? But overall, I think most of them, were kind of up and down in their careers. I think there was a lot of solid players in there, right? I bet you pull a team like an LSU or an Alabama or even like a USC, a team that's just that are putting lots of players in the pros. The hit rate is probably way lower for them. I mean, to be a Ute and go into the NFL, you got to be pretty damn good. So that's definitely saying something. So now what I want to move into, guys, is going to be the spring football. So like I said, we're about to have a special guest on. Let me just shoot a text here. All right. All right. So, all right. So, spring football right around the corner, guys. I will actually go ahead and pull up the schedule here. All right, so let's take a look. So, Utah Utes spring football. All right, I just want to pull up the actual schedule here so we can take a look. Well, pretty sure we're gonna have this guy coming on in the next few minutes, hopefully. So he told me he is just about ready. So while we're waiting for him, we'll take a look at some of this stuff. So I know we looked at this before, but just to refresh it in our minds. So tickets to this spring game will be available for Crimson Club members during a pre-sale March 16th to the 23rd. Open to the public on March 25th at 10 a.m. Um, that's not what we want to know. Let's pull up the exciting stuff. So they're going to be starting spring practices. I believe the spring practices start on the 23rd. I don't see it on here. If anyone can help me out. You guys pretty excited about the youth spring football? I know I am, right? You don't get a lot of football this time of year, so it's pretty cool to at least get a taste. And then it's going to be, a lot of projection and waiting for the season to get started in September. But this, or I think it starts like late August usually. But all right, where is it? Okay, spring practices will officially begin on Tuesday, March 22nd. So that's this upcoming Tuesday, guys. That is right around the corner, with the Utes hitting the field 15 times during spring training, ending with the game on April 23rd. Utah's 2022 Pro Day is also scheduled for March 24th. And all right. And then, so with that, we're going to see 15 plus former Utes all looking to take the next step, fulfilling their dreams in the pro day. So that's another cool thing to look forward to next week, guys. March 24th, that'll be next Thursday. We're going to see the Utes Pro Day. Obviously, next week on the live stream, we're going to have way more content. We'll be able to talk about the start of the spring practices. We're going to talk about the pro day. Should be a lot of fun. See who maybe earning themselves the money. I know there's a lot of Utes guys that have been, kind of out of the picture for a little while, right? They didn't get invited to the combine. I know Mika Tafua was supposed to go to the East-West Shrine game, but that never happened. You guys know I've been pretty big on Mika Tafua. I was shocked when he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So hopefully he can kind of get out there on the pro day and revitalize his draft stock there. That'd be cool to see. He's a guy that I think really earned a spot in the NFL last year. I was not high on him, if you guys remember, at the beginning of the year, and he really developed himself as a great player. But sorry about that, guys. Obviously, that's part of spring football, right? The pro day, but I don't want to get wrapped up in all that. I want us to focus on just talking about the spring football. So he just texted me. We're gonna have him on for sure. At least I think so. He said he's having a little bit of an issue getting connected, but he is almost on. So we should have him pretty soon. And right when he jumps on, I'll bring him in. So super cool, guys. And if you guys want, what would be really cool is if you guys have any questions about spring football, about position matchups, about who to watch, who you're excited about, that sort of thing, post them in the chat here, guys, because I want to use those questions. I'll pick the ones I really like as ones that I'm going to ask him once he gets on there, once he gets on the chat. So I know I haven't told you guys who it is, but I just want to make sure he's going to be hopping on before I tell you who I'm talking about. So but anyways, make sure you guys, if you have any questions to ask him about the spring training, anything like that, dude, make sure you guys post it in the chat here, because I have some questions for him, but I'm sure you guys can come up with some great questions as well, right? And that's kind of the fun thing about doing this, right? It kind of gets us all a inside peek into the Utes program and kind of what's going on there. All right. Right now, I'm just waiting on him. So I think he'll know a lot more about the spring football, spring practices than I will. So excited to get him on here for you guys. Just shot him a text. But yeah, definitely. We might as well keep previewing the spring football while we're waiting here. So let's take a look. So looking at 2022, and I know we've already looked at all this, but it's still exciting. Utah will return 17 starters, including 8 on offense, 6 on defense, along with all 3 specialists. So a fat stack of returning players there, guys. A lot of guys to look forward to. I'm really excited about this O line. I could see it being pretty damn good right away. I felt like last year we had a real growing period and adapting period to try to get it figured out. Um, All right. Yeah. So last year, the O line really had some, early struggles, and especially PFF grade wise. They really, took a second to get it going there. But once the season got going, they really took off and started to look good. And while we're waiting for my guest to jump on, make sure you guys like the video. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Super glad to have you here and hope to, have you here more in the future. But with that, so take a look here. So I think the two of the big weapons that are coming back are going to be Brent Keithy, Dalton Kincaid, and then we also got to add in a running back. We've got, some big weapons there and guys like Mekhi Bernard. We've got Tavion Thomas, who honestly, for me, I'm shocked Tavion Thomas didn't declare this year. Maybe teams told him that because it was just one big year, they wanted to see him do it again if they wanted to spend a high draft pick on him. But hey, I'm shocked Tavion didn't declare. I mean, he was definitely looked at around the country as one of the better running backs. So but definitely a lot to look forward to, especially with that run game. We're adding Jalen Glover, the freshman, into the mix of a great group of guys. Tavion Thomas, Mekhi Bernard, like I was talking about. So really good group of guys. We're definitely going to be able to pound the rock. A really good returning three at the offensive line with Keaton Bills, Sateoa Lamea, and Braden Daniels. Braden Daniels was one of the top 10 offensive tackles in all of college football last year. By far the best offensive lineman on the Utes. It's a real gift that we get to have him back. He should be in the NFL if there weren't the rules about when you're allowed to declare. Oh, and then Rob's out here saying Ryan Peppins is a guy to watch. Definitely, man. Ryan Peppins is absolutely a guy to watch. Really fast, really explosive player that, I think could – I think there's going to be a lot of guys wanting to take that Britton Covey role. But if there's anyone that has the explosiveness and the downhill speed to really get it done, I think Ryan Peppins would be a shoo-in for that, right? So that'd be super cool. Ryan Peppins is a guy that I love the tape on him. I can't believe he's only a 3-star prospect, right? Sometimes you watch the guy's tape and you're shocked about where they were ranked, right? Obviously, I'm not an expert in ranking, and maybe I don't look for everything that some of the expert analysts do for recruits, but for me, it was crazy that he wasn't. And then, guys, just take a look at the screen there. You see Utah saw 22 different players. Utah saw 22 different players earn at least one start on defense in 2021, with 13 returning in 2022. Yeah, a really good young defense there, guys. Junior Tafuna, Vimahi, Van Fillinger, Kareem Reed, Zamaya Vaughn, Fabian Marks, Clark Phillips, Latu, Cole Bishop. A lot of really good guys coming back there that are really young. So I could see some growing pains on this defense next year. But I think in the end, it's all going to be worth it with this defense, right? It might be similar to the offensive line last year, where they took a little while to really mesh and really get going. But over time, once they really started clicking, it just kind of took off, right? Hold on 1 second here. Oh, sorry. I sent this guy the wrong link. All right. Now we should be getting them on. All right, cool. Should be on any second now. All right. Yeah, so spring football should be super exciting. I'm excited to finally get some Utes football back. I was so deep into it for such a long time there that felt weird to not have it. Right? It's kind of weren't sure what to do without it. All right. Okay, I just sent him the right link, so hopefully he gets that. Invite link. I probably got to throw the headphones in so I could hear it. All right. All right, guys. And so we are about to have a super cool guest on here. I'm just waiting for him to jump into the stream, and then I will introduce him and let you guys know who I'm talking about. All right. I feel like I'm like making too much anticipation to this guy coming on. So, but I think you guys will appreciate it, and I think it's going to be some awesome inside knowledge for you. So, super cool there. Okay, it looks like he is just entering in, so I will introduce him here in a second. Who we're going to have on here in a second, guys, is Alex Markham. I think that's how you say it. And Alex is a guy that works with Rivals. Oh, and then it just dropped off. Alex, Alex works with Rivals. Boom. He was just here, and then it dropped off. I don't know what happened there. All right. My mouse just died. I'm trying to get it back going so I can bring him on. It died literally right as he was about to come on. So I am sorry. It's a Mac mouse, so it's got to be charged. Dang it. All right. You know what, guys? Give me 2 minutes here, and then we're going to jump back on. I just got to get this working again. So give me a second. All right, the mouse is still dead. I'm going to need another minute. It is not ready yet. Alex, give us 1 minute here. I'm almost bringing you on. Just hold on for me. All right, we are good. I got my mouse on. I just want to add Alex in before it dies again. Hey, Alex, how are you doing?
Hey, dude, your audio is like crazy off, buddy. But
Can
how
you hear
how
me
are
now?
how are you doing, dude? Yeah, it's crackling right now. I don't know if that's doing it for everybody else, but yeah, I'm not sure what's up here.
Okay, you still can't hear me?
I can hear you. It sounds like you under. It sounds like you're gargling underwater.
Can you guys in the chat tell me if you guys are having trouble hearing me? I haven't had anyone say anything the whole time, so I don't know. I didn't do anything different. Let's see. Oh, I think. Oh, okay. You guys are saying the audio is fine, so all right, cool. All right, cool, guys. Alex, they're saying they can hear me. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, man. I can hear you. We'll see how long it lasts, but
All
can
right,
hear you.
cool. I think it might be. Are you? Yeah, it looks like you're in your car. It could be just like the
Yeah.
data. It's just coming off a little rough. All
Yeah,
right, well,
it
no problem.
might, man. It might. My charger wasn't working, so like the only cord that wants to charge up for me is is in my truck. So figured I'd come out
Gotcha.
here for some peace and quiet too, instead of having a 5-year-old running around screaming.
Yeah, if I go upstairs, I got a 2 year old running around. I get you. All right,
I
man.
heard it earlier, man. I heard it earlier.
Hey, cool, Alex. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us. Just so you guys know a little bit about Alex, Alex is the publisher for the U Boys on utenation.com for Rivals. He's also a film director. He's got some cool stuff in the works there. So cool. Alex, thanks so much for coming on with us today, man. I'm excited
Of
to
course,
talk a
man.
little. Thanks, man. I'm excited to talk a little about some spring football.
Yeah.
Um, anything you just want to share right off the bat, looking ahead to spring football that you think we should be looking at?
Oh man, what's nice is there's so many things that are proven this year, right? So even though there's proven guys, there's still going to be some good position battles, right?
Yeah,
Because you want to see the younger guys take that next step, or you want to see that depth evolve, right? And so
yeah,
definitely, even though Cam is unquestionably the starter. And I mean, anybody that's followed me, I felt like he should have been the unquestioned starter even, at the start of last year, But even though he's the unquestioned starter, I mean, there's still going to be a lot of intrigue with the backups. Bryson Barnes, even though he was second string and the guy that came in and filled in for Cam in the bowl game, he's really done a lot for himself to prove that he's not your typical walk on, right? But Jaquindon, don't count Jaquindon out. If he can show that he can do more in the pro style and not just excel in the spread, then you got a nice backup right there, extremely nice backup, right? But what I'm just really kind of curious to see is, even if Bryson can keep stepping up and it turns into one of those things where it's not like that Drew Lisk and Jason Shelley situation, right? Where that's, to me right now, what I kind of feel like that is that Bryson is that guy that, if God forbid something happens to Cam during a game, Bryson's the guy that would come in at a pinch and be able to take the spot duty, right? If there's more time to prepare, I feel like it's Jaquindon. And so that's going to be something to really kind of watch for. Um, Outside of that, I mean, there's obviously the intrigue with the running backs with Jalen Glover coming in. I caution everybody that as good as Jalen Glover could be, I still envision him being at best third string
yeah,
when the season rolls around, man. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, nobody's gonna beat out Tavion right now,
yeah,
and I mean, Makai's gonna give him a run for his money, Makai Bernard, right? But what a lot of people don't know and realize is that, I mean, Makai was gonna be running away with the starting job, up until he got dinged up in the BYU game, the same game that he was having that huge game, and then he goes into Wazoo, fumbles 3 times. Well, it's not because he's a bad football player. It's because
Yeah.
his shoulder was so jacked that he could barely even hold on to the football, right?
Yeah.
So those are two intriguing positions. Definitely linebacker is going to be one that everybody's going to be paying attention to, right?
Yeah.
And you do have Lander Barton coming in early for spring ball. You do have Medlock, but at the same time too, I mean, and Diabate, but
Yeah.
there's that position is so stacked. You don't know how it's going to shake out. I would expect Barton to really come through and be one of the two main guys. From there, it's just whoever steps up. I mean, Corrine Reed, don't count that guy out, man. He's a stud. I mean, he was the star of spring ball last year that not enough people knew about.
Yeah.
But he was just dominating, right? He signed with Utah State out of his mission. And I want to say he was like 6 foot. He might have been 6 foot 185, man, soaking wet. Comes back off his mission, and he's mid 220s, 6 foot, and just grew into his body and really started dominating, dude. So I mean, when everybody looks like, oh well, we've got all these 4-star guys, uh, dude, he's got the pro bloodlines, so you can't count him out.
Yeah.
Um, and let's
Hey,
see here.
someone just asked the question in the chat. I know I've been asked this a few times. What about Ethan Calvert? You have any word on him? Does he look like he'll be healthy heading into next year?
I haven't heard enough on that yet. I mean, I do know that at one point Colton Swan slipped to the extent of, that it was a pretty bad injury. So, that being the case, I wouldn't expect him to at least um, be ready for spring or full strength. That's something I do
Yeah.
need to get confirmation on. But again, I mean, what I would caution everybody is, again, don't fall in love with, don't just fall in love with the 4-star guys and think that those guys are going to be the ones ticketed to be the starters, right? I mean, Lander should be a sure bet as it gets. My guys through Rivals kind of felt like they actually underrated him.
Really?
And so yeah, and part of the problem was because he wasn't a huge media guy. I mean, he was open to me whenever, right? But I've got the ties with, his brothers, as well as his brother-in-law Christian Drews, and so, but yeah, he wasn't a big media guy. He wasn't a big camp guy, so when he went to the Army All-American game, I mean, that's where he blew up, and everybody, he shot up over 100 spots in the rankings, just right there, and they didn't feel like it might be enough. Um, so with that, definitely, obviously, one of those linebackers from last year that I was extremely high on. I mean, he's not going to be a linebacker anymore. It's obviously Jonah Ellis. I'm looking forward to him at defensive end, and so it's going to be really
Oh, yeah.
interesting just to see how some of those guys shake out.
Yeah, Jonah
You know,
Ellis, he was the one that was real like tall and lean, right? Real fast guy running around the field. I remember him
dude,
last year, right?
it's scary. It's scary. So it's Luther's boy, right?
Hmm.
And so again, you talk about the bloodlines. Here's this kid that he was a 3-star kid in Idaho because you look at the tape and he's going up against kids that it looked like he was going up against junior high kids. I mean, it was nuts. And then he gets up to the U and didn't really get a spring ball because his first week there, he ended up tearing a pec muscle. And so it was crazy to see just how strong he came on halfway through the season, and it's just, man, that guy's sideline to sideline speed. I mean, he could play linebacker, he really could, but at the same time too, he's so dangerous and valuable at defensive end that, again, I mean, it's spring is going to be interesting to see, if some of those guys get shifted around it to different spots.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Any freshmen you think we should watch? Obviously, you mentioned Lander Barton. Do you another question would be, so one, do you think any freshmen we should be watching at spring ball that you think could make a real solid impact early on? And then to follow up on that would just be, do you think that a lot of the guys that are early enrollees that are going to be there for the spring ball have an advantage to get in there?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get into spring ball, it's a huge advantage, right?
Yeah.
I look at the Nate Johnson and Brandon Rose situation. Do I think he has more talent and potential than Nate Johnson? No, his ceiling's lower than Nate Johnson's. But at the same time, too, when fall camp comes around, I mean, who's gonna have a little bit more of a leg up? It's gonna be Brandon because he's gone through the system and knows the nuances and tendencies of the offense and how Ludwig thinks, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be valuable for Pepins. I heard you talking about Pepins when I was first
Yeah.
logging in. It'll be valuable for him, but I caution everybody: do not compare him to Britton Covey. Just don't. It's like the same thing too. Is do not compare Jalen Glover to Ty Jordan. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me, and it's
Yeah.
nothing against those guys, right? It's just Britton is a talent that you just don't see very often,
Yeah.
and Ty Jordan. Britton said it himself. Ty Jordan was the greatest football player Britain had ever seen. So again, just be careful comparing those guys. And when it comes to Pepins, he's got to gain a lot more weight because if he
Yeah.
doesn't do that, then there's no way he's going to be seeing much time
Yeah.
on
He's
the
really
field.
small. What is he?
Yeah,
140,
it doesn't.
150? He's really small.
Yeah, and I mean, I would guess he's bigger than that now.
Oh, okay.
I would say that weight was probably more start of his senior year, or the
Mhm.
summer before his senior year. So, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, just let's say he's 150, whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's still got to gain that weight. I mean, he can look as good as you could hope in spring ball, but he's got to gain the weight, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, from there, I'll tell you one guy that I'm really excited about. Okay, and I apologize with how the camera's moving here. Like I
You're good.
had
You're
to
good. Keep
do it
going.
from my phone because as much problems as you were having with as much problems as you were having with your mouse, I was trying to log into my computer and the StreamYard app it wasn't wanting to work with my speakers.
Yeah.
So one guy I'm really intrigued to watch that maybe not a lot of people think about is Carson Tabarachi.
Yeah.
Tabo. Okay. This kid, I mean, you're looking at a kid from Park City that had he not been at Park City, I like to try to compare his situation to Jonah Ellis. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Because I mean the level of competition he was going up against when he was at Park City. I mean, you go and you look at his film, he's a running back in
Yeah.
all of his huddle film. And dude, like again, it looked like he was running against junior high kids in some instances elementary kids. Like it was just unfair and just how
Yeah.
he was dominating. But yeah, so I mean, had he played up, had he played at Corner Canyon or something like that, for
Yeah.
instance, right? Or just places like that, like he would have been an even bigger national name than he was. And he had a lot of really good offers. I mean, I don't have his list in front of me, but Notre Dame and Stanford for two of them.
Yeah.
But the big thing with him and where he's going to fly under the radar this spring is he's viewed as an athlete. Now he'll start off apparently as a linebacker. Okay,
Hmm.
I don't see that being his home though, because a lot of the guys had been talking about him potentially eventually filling the Brant Keithy role. Okay, they had anticipated all three tight ends not being back next year. So it's a very good problem to have that they brought the tight ends in that they have, as well as as well as still have Keithy and Kincaid. So it's a damn damn good problem to have. It's a ridiculous position right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling up Carson right now. I mean, he had offers from Notre Dame, Oregon, Ohio State, Nebraska. I mean, lots of big time USC, lots of big time school offers. You're right. I didn't know he had that many
He's
big
a
offers.
stud.
Yeah. He's no,
He's
I
yeah,
he was some of the best. Oh, I tried to take this off and I took you off,
you're
but
good,
yeah,
man. You're good.
he was some of the best tape I watched. Yeah, he was a really impressive guy. I got some questions here in the chat. P. Dot asked, "Is the Stanford transfer?" I think he's talking about Gabe Reed. Do you have any update on if he's playing D line or linebacker? What's the plan there?
Defensive end. He'll be the type that can drop back and everything. So he'll be the typical hybrid that Utah likes him deploying. But yeah, he definitely fits the more defensive end role at Utah. Now, the other thing I would caution everybody too. I like Gabe. I think he's a great player. I mean, gosh, I still remember interviewing him and Britton Covey at Timpview. So
Yeah,
everybody thinks that ages them. That ages me. But yeah, no. So I the biggest value that Gabe Reed is gonna bring, okay,
Mhm.
is um is his leadership and his experience. Anything else, anything other than that is gravy because Utah loses Xavier Carlton, but nobody's really sweating it because I mean you saw what Jonah Ellis did.
yeah,
So it's Gabe is a great addition, but for different reasons than most people might think.
yeah, for sure. No, and that's kind of how I described him. Like I'm just looking at some of his grades and taking a look at his past few years. He's just like a very solid player, but probably not going to be like a game changing player. Would you agree with that?
I'm not gonna say that just because I mean you've seen what Utah's done with guys that
That's true.
have had a solid career but nothing outstanding. Then they get a hold of them for a year, or you look at somebody like Kafusi, right, and see what he's kind of become when he came in, and not everybody was really expecting a lot from him.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I stopped short of that because again, the bloodlines with Gabe,
yeah.
he was highly touted in the first place. So yeah, I mean, you get him in the system, and we'll see what happens.
I mean,
I
Tavion
can't.
too, right? Tavion was
Yeah,
all over the map this year because of his first year with the youth. So that was pretty cool.
yeah, and I'd have to double check at some of the notes that I have, but if I remember correctly, I don't think Gabe's going to be here for the spring. So that's one thing that would work against. And I might be wrong, like I said. I mean, it's just off the top of my head again. I'd have to check my notes on that.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. I'm not sure if he will be either. Justin Medlock, we got a question here from Rob Cashell. Justin Medlock, I do believe he's going to be here for the spring. I mean,
Mhm.
what do you see his role being? I mean, do you think he'll be a guy that can rotate in early on, or how's he looking?
You know, I'm really interested to see what he comes in weight wise, and then from there, I'm also interested to see what he packs on, or if he packs on weight, or if he just leans up even more muscle wise before the season, because everybody. So I'm trying to remember. I think it was Wesley Tonga, because like I'll have the former players do film evaluations for me for the signing days and everything. I'm pretty sure it was Wesley that he just starts blowing up my phone, like not even done with the highlights. It's like, dude, Johnny Paul, Johnny Paul, Johnny effing Paul. He's
Yeah,
like, I love this dude, Johnny Paul, and yeah. So now the interesting thing with Medlock is he's lighter for a linebacker. Now,
mm,
again, at the same time too, I mean, Utah usually typically takes those linebackers that are that size, and then next thing you know, they got 25, 30 pounds on them. So the reason I say that is if they could almost deploy him as a form of a hybrid, uh, where he's a like strong safety style linebacker, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, now let's keep in mind. I mean, Cole Bishop's got strong safety locked up, so I'm not saying him fully be strong safety. I'm just saying, like, again, just how Morgan likes to disguise things. Medlock could be a really intriguing option. So we'll just have to see how he does this spring. But yeah, that's another guy that, I mean, that was, man, what a great last minute surprise.
Yeah, he was
For the
awesome.
staff on signing day. Yeah.
Yeah, his tape was awesome. He was really excited. The instincts on that guy were just really impressive. He like felt like he knew what every play, like he must watch a lot of film because it felt like when you're watching Justin, he knew the play before the play even unfolded. Like he was running into the
Mm-hmm.
backfield every time. All right, then Jeff Walsh has a question here. Do you know what type of
So
injury? Yeah, and how serious it is? I think that's what he's trying to say, preventing the linebacker from Florida. I think he's talking about Muhammad Diabate from participating in the red-white game.
I can't talk injuries. Sorry,
Gotcha.
guys.
No,
Yeah,
that's okay.
if I did, my phone would get blown up. I'd get chewed out. I'd lose access. So yeah, no. Until Kyle says, my mouth shut.
Okay. Hey, well, no one's. Then I'm sorry I asked.
Sorry. No,
All
no,
good,
you're
man.
good. You're good.
And then just, I mean, why don't you, if there's anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here, maybe some last minute notes to watch in spring football, check out.
Oh man, I mean, obviously I'm really intrigued to see kind of what goes on with the safety position, who steps up. I mean, like I said, we've got we don't have any questions that we're going to be looking for as media when it comes to strong safety. I mean, Cole Bishop's the guy at strong safety. There's, if somebody comes in and performs well, it doesn't matter. I mean, Cole's the guy.
Yeah.
And from there, strong safety position. I mean, sorry, the free safety position is really going to be up for grabs, right? Sione Vaki's a return missionary. The staff is really high on him. They loved him coming out of high school. So, I would say either him, or if RJ Hubert can show that he's completely healthy, and can stay healthy, those are probably your top two guys at free safety position. Kemoe Alatu, he could factor in there as
Yeah.
well. I do wonder if he's more of the strong safety type, but we'll see. I mean, you just got to show those ball hawk skills, and so that's going to be a really important position for them to figure out. From there, cornerback. I was trying to figure this out a little bit today. Hadn't really had success. I'm hoping to find out a little bit more in the next couple days. But I expect the cornerbacks to just kind of be a random mix of guys that you're not really going to see too much of. When fall comes, just because, I mean, again, I mean, remember back, there were some pretty serious injuries,
Yeah.
to the top four guys. Two of those coming towards the end of the season, and I mean, when it comes down to it, like, even if Broughton would be healthy,
Mhm.
there's really no point in him, getting too many reps other than just to stay fresh, since his injury was early in the season. Um, other than that, wide receiver, we media. Oh gosh, it's funny because it's like, um, some media talks about wide receivers, and I understand why. I'm gonna be flat out to call it what it is. They use, to me, the weak link of the entire team,
Yeah.
other than the punting, right? So um, I really want to see somebody step up with that. Can Money Parks step up and turn into a go-to guy? Can Devon Vele continue to develop? Solomon Ennis, I would love to see him progress, but at the same time too, I feel like he's just going to be that solid possession receiver that just does the dirty work, that he's become known for, and been a huge team guy. I know I'm forgetting some of the guys off the top of my head, but the other thing too is I've heard some stuff where the receiver position's already thin, unfortunately, but Minera McLean I've heard is going to be looked at tight end.
Mhm.
So it's you hear something like that, and it's like, no, don't take guys away from wide receiver when that's the weak spot on the
Yeah.
team. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I beat the drum too much about the wide receivers needing to improve, but I mean, look, dude, like it's
I mean, the modern
in all
day
my
offense, right?
conversations that I've
The college
what's that?
offense right now, it's all about having big players, a wide receiver that can catch screens and make plays downfield. So it's important to have.
Yeah, and instead Utah has it set up where it's multiple tight ends as their go-to guys. Hope you can figure somebody out with the slot role like they had with Covey this year, and try to utilize. I mean, the one nice thing will be trying to utilize Mekhi Bernard out of the backfield on the passes, right? Because he's a lot more dynamic than just being a running back.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, again, like it's like, yeah, I beat the drum on the wide receivers needing to improve, but I mean, if you throw the microphone away and you're talking to people around the program, and they're gonna say the exact same thing. They've
Yeah.
got to improve. If to me, okay, Utah is set up for an awesome season. Okay, you have a quarterback that is an All-American candidate quarterback. Okay, if Utah wins the Pac-12 again, you're looking at a guy that is going to be Cam Rising will be in the running for the Heisman probably, right?
Yeah.
But is Utah a top 10 team or just outside top 10 team, or are they a top 5 team? Okay, if they're a top 5 team, it means that the wide receivers have stepped up. If they're
Yeah.
not, let's talk more about the wide receivers. At some point in the season, because again, that is the weak link of this team.
Well, and I feel like the recruiting last year showed that, right? Like it was like, let's bring in a bunch of wide receivers and try to make it happen. It was let's bring in
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of them. Yeah. So hopefully one
Mm-hmm.
of those will stick and
Yeah,
make
and I
some
mean,
sort of
there's
impact.
there's some intriguing potential. I mean, Chris Reed.
Oh, cut out on us a little here, Alex. Can you hear me? Let's give Alex a second. I think his phone cut out for a minute here. uh, while we're waiting for Alex's connection to jump back on, P. Dot asked, "Do we think we will get any transfers in the offensive end? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Alex can answer that for us, but I don't know. I don't know if we see too many more transfers come in. I mean, there could be one more before the season starts, but I would imagine most people have already found their home, right? A lot of guys have already decided where they're going, already transferred. So, and then Rob, is Vele going to see a more increased role? I think Alex was touching on that, right? We're hoping that Vele sees a more increased role. Hopefully, he steps up. I know. I think it was pretty obvious that Cam Rising liked him, but it's going to be up to him if he becomes a real playmaker in this offense, or if he just kind of settles into the type of role he had last year, where he was a solid player, but not a playmaker. And I think that's what Alex was getting at. I mean, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but just kind of talking about how we need playmakers at receiver. If we're a top 5 team, that's why we're a top 5 team, right? Some of these receivers stepped up and start making real plays. Um, but on that note, looks like Alex's line dropped off, and it is late anyways. So I'm gonna text him. But hey, it's been so real hanging out with you guys tonight. It's been awesome, guys. Make sure you guys follow Alex. He's a super cool guy. I had his tag up here. Yeah, at A Markham Rivals. Super cool guy. And yeah, really cool of him to come up here. on the stream with us and answer some questions, give us a little spring ball preview. Hopefully next time, we could do it with a little better connection from both of us. My mouth just doesn't die. So, all right, guys. But hey, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. It has been the longest live stream yet. So I hope you guys have a great night. And pleasure hanging out with you guys tonight. And make sure you guys like the video before we get out of here, okay? It gets them. Thanks, P-Dod. Good night to you too, man. And make sure you guys like the video before we get out of here. It gets the video to more people, and it makes us make more content, right? It's awesome, guys. Hey, well, thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Go Utes.